Happy Friday night. Welcome back to Gallery Night, our first gallery night on.
Or not welcome back to. Welcome to Gallery Night.
Okay. Welcome to Gallery Night. It is our first ever gallery night. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking.
Oh, what was we supposed to say? Ribbon Candy Hooking.
Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna.
I'm Jocelyn.
And we are here with you for Gallery Night. Good to see you. It has been a long.
There's a dog trying to eat my food.
Well, get him away from your dish. This little one is going to join us for. Yeah, we've got a
ring light.
We've got a ring light that's doing rainbow circles that are like seizure type inducing circles. But as long as that light is hitting you and not me, then I am gonna be good. Jocelyn, do you know what gallery night is?
It's where we look at patterns that our people here sent us, and we talk about them. We give comments on them.
Exactly. So I put the shout out earlier. If you just caught the tail end of it or not at all, it was kind of an afterthought that tonight we would run our first ever gallery night. I think it's important to do this at least once a month because I feel like there are so many great patterns, original designs, commercial designs, everything that are going on out there. And, we don't talk enough about your work, right? We talk about books and people, but we don't talk enough about your work. And this is our group. We should be talking about our own work. So we need to do this, I think, a lot more often, for sure. Let's see. Okay, so there's maybe a problem with sound. Okay. Let me see if that helps while my mouth was just running. Let's see if there's a problem with sound. Can't hear anything. Your volume is all the way up. Huh. Can you see if we're on mute?
I don't know why we would be on mute.
Okay, wait. Let me just check the bottom. Hold on 1 second. Is it going to be one of these? Can't hear you. Can't hear anything. Sound is low. What can we do?
Oh, normally if we'd be talking like this, the bar would be a flip. Maybe you need to drag that closer to that.
Okay, hold on.
Now?
Is that any better?
Oh, that's very loud.
Okay.
Let's drag it a little off. Like
Still low.
Is this go?
Is that any better? I wonder what got touched and what's different. Oh, I can't handle any more upset today. Very soft. Brandolyn, is that better? Did we come? Jocelyn, we should talk. Sound is very low. Yes, it's better. Yes. Okay, good. That must have been me touching that sound bar. Teddy? No thanks. No thanks. Guess who fixed it? The computer tech. Thank you so much. Good. Thank you for letting me know. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. How did I do that, huh? Did I do that? Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, that's it. We're good now. So what we were saying earlier, go ahead, Ted, stick your head in there.
I'm fat.
Teddy, don't. Oh, God. I'm going to have to speak to you after this. You set me right off right before the show. You make me so angry with that. Good evening, everybody. It is good to see you. Lots of triggers right at the beginning. We're going to make it, though, aren't we?
Yeah!
So, as I was saying very lowly to Jocelyn, my buddy here, do you know what gallery night is? Let's try this again.
It's something where you pull up other people's work that they sent you, and we give comments about them.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good, doesn't it? And as I was saying so quietly, I'm so sorry. We don't do this enough. We don't do it. We don't spend enough time looking at our own work and each other's work and just staying on top of what everybody else is doing in our group. So we should do this more often. I'm super excited. I don't know how the inspiration came. I just thought, this is my birthday weekend, right? And I've been in a horrible place.
I forgot, Monday, right?
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do something really fun. I didn't want to do something that required 2 days of research. I wanted to do something super fun. So this is what we chose. Good to see you, everybody. Let's check in now that we know that we're on. Oh, Gayla, good to see you. Annette, great to see you. Karen, great to see you. Lori, great to see you. I've got so many beautiful rugs. Oh, no. Cass, I feel like yours didn't go into the thing just now. How did that happen? Because it's in my file. I'm going to have to figure that out as we go along. Because Cass sent 2 beautiful rugs. I'm going to have to figure that out. That makes me very nervous. Kaz, good to see you in Wisconsin. I'm going to figure that out. I had, when I use this new technology that I've got here, this, sharing screen thing that I'm going to do a little bit later, I put things into a file and then I download them and I add them, and it's very tricky, but I've got it, right? Like old pig has got it. New dog learned the new trick, and that is it. I usually have it. But sometimes things in files go to other files, especially when I have 20 file folders open.
We got a green screen,
so I
but we
hope
have
that hasn't
no idea
happened.
how to use it.
We're not going to use that green screen. There's like no way on earth we're
Yeah.
going to figure out how to use that. That's for sure.
Nope.
Okay, now you bump the light, and the sprite almost fell down. Karen, good to see you. Lori, good to see you. Kaz, good to see you. Gami, good to see you. Hello from cold, snowy Granby.
Gummy!
It was a snowstorm today, for sure. Kids were off school again. Again. Doreen, good to see you in snowy upstate New York. Cheers, my dears. Cheers.
There's someone who wants to see you guys.
Mm-hmm. Robin, great to see you. Cheers in Wisconsin. Chrissy, together again. Cheers on Friday night. Great to see you. I'm so worried about Kaz's thing now. I'm going to have to do some fooling while I'm off camera. Linda, good to see you. Happy cocktail night to you too. Annette. Oh, you're in Tennessee. You don't have to by any means, but it's nice to know where you are because other people may be too, and they might want to know where you are so you can maybe get together and plan something. That happens a lot. Doreen, good to be with you. And Mom, yep. And Linda, great to see you. Deb, great to see you. And Seward, Nebraska. Put him down before his legs break in half. Linda, great to see you in Missouri. Teresa. Oh, Lori, I recognize a lot of names because I've got a lot of beautiful work tonight to share. Aileen in snowy Toronto. I bet. Dave, great to see you. Good evening. Cold and drifting snow in Toronto. Spaghetti and sauce for dinner. Fantastic. Fantastic. I just had an omelet.
For a second, when you said spaghetti and sauce, I thought, for like a second, I thought they were going to drink sauce and eat pasta.
Well, I'm sure it's bad. I mean, you can drink sauce. It's called drinking a Bloody Mary. But that's something for later, isn't it? Sandra, good to see you. And Slippery and brr out there in Kawartha Lakes, Ontario. Barbara, oh, snowy Syracuse. Good to see you, Barbara.
Birthday weekend.
I think our sound is all corrected. Let's see. We've got a big group tonight. This is great. Kirsten, great to see you. Kirsten, I was supposed to listen to your messages. I had such a day. I'll tell you in a minute. I had such a day. I'm supposed to get my 5 chapters in today.
I can hear, but
5 different techniques. Those are old comments.
Oh, those are
and I still haven't got it in, so I've got to go back and do that after I run the show. It's gonna be a rough one tonight. Susie, good to see you. I think this is all resolved, right? The sound being so low. All right. Hopefully it's all resolved. Cheryl, good to see you. Okay, let's see. I'm just making sure I don't have any new comments, if there's any problems. These are all our buddies giving feedback. Better. Okay, it looks like everybody says better. Joss, you solved the problem, man. You are something else. Something. Susie. All right, everybody says better. All right, good. Well, I think we can proceed. What do you think, Joss? Huge difference. Yeah. I'm, with all these windows open and try to get all the files in, I must have touched the button. Although you know what it could be, I'm not going to start. But I will tell you, I don't know if this happened to you too.
You want to finish this?
No, not right now.
It tastes kind of weird.
No. I bet it tastes weird. It's disgusting. So one of these weird cookies with the stuff inside of it that comes in a plastic wrap. I don't know. I'll probably eat it right after.
There was
twice this week.
That I loved, but now this one is just kind of.
We'll have to find the oldie. It's probably Little Debbie. This week I got 2 special treats from Microsoft, right? Thank you, Microsoft. 2 updates 2 days in a row. And both times they gifted me these wonderful updates. I came in in the morning, couldn't put the computer on forever. It was in a death panic to try to get these chapters done for the book that I'm working on. And both times the update had defaulted to all my old settings, which the reason they're old settings is because I didn't like them, and it took me forever to figure out how to change them. And it was such a gem. 2 days in a row, it was such a gem. It's been such a time. But you know what? It's almost done. And I am so sorry that I pulled the plug on Coffee Time all this week, but it has been impossible to get things done, to make progress, to get where I needed to get. So I'll give you an update in case you're interested. This book project that I'm working on, right? It's a book about making rugs, and there's 14 different techniques. So I have made 14 original rugs for it, and in the book, this is a Fox Chapel book. It should be out later this year, later in the summer. He's cute. 14 different techniques. So all of the 14 rugs that I made for it, like in the last couple of months, um, they will all be exclusive patterns to the book. So we'll see a couple of those tonight at the end of the show. 3 of them I think I put in. So that's kept me busy. As you know, if you're in our Facebook group, which is Row Cooking and Punch Needle Club, it's been a busy time. And when I say busy, I mean horrific. So I'm right at the end of waking up at 3 in the morning to do projects and getting absolutely no sleep and trying to get orders out, run coffee time, and have some time together here because this is my happy time when we log on together. So it seems like it's coming to an end. I'm actually starting the second half of the book, and I know that sounds ominous, but the second half is made up of things. Can you make that stop changing color? Because I feel like I'm going to have like a seizure, seriously. Just put it on any color constant, but not like red, like there's an accident outside, which there was a couple nights ago, a car crash right outside the door. But the second half of the book is going to be on dyeing, on finishing techniques,
Like
on inspiration, where people get inspiration. So if you feel like you have stuff that you could send to me that would be helpful for those kinds of chapters, the practical chapters, I would love it. I would love to have it. The second half of the book, I don't feel panicked about it all because I know that I can synthesize what I've got and I'm not making anymore. The makes are over. The 14 original rugs in 3 months are over. So now I'm at a different trajectory, and let's get as much more done as we can together. I'll tell you the one thing about this book, 2 things about this book that make me happy, because at this point I don't feel so happy, to be honest. But at this point, I am so happy that I have work from over 100 people in our group here that's going to appear in that book. That makes me very happy because I have lost so much time together doing our shows, doing our Zooms, spending time, having fun, resetting myself, with you being a grown up, sharing things. I've lost all that time and I can't get it back. So the one thing I can say about that whole dynamic is that your work is in the book too, and I'm super happy about that because I can't get that time back and it upsets me and I'm not at peace at all. But this book is like a scrapbook of your stuff too. And that makes me real happy. And the other thing that makes me really happy is thinking about how this book is going to be at Borders, not Borders, Barnes and Noble, right? Borders isn't there anymore. Joann's and Michael's and all those places. And hopefully it's going to reach a new audience of people who didn't know that they wanted to do textile art at all. And maybe they'll pick it up and want to do one of these 14 rag rug techniques. And that could be wonderful because it could bring a lot of people to our groups, more people who are passionate and interested and inspired and looking for something. So it would be great to find those people and to latch up with those people. So those are my really big hopes for right now. Otherwise, this has been a living nightmare, hasn't it? I mean, it's just been for me, it's been a horrible time. I've hardly seen the kids except to drop them off at school. All right, let's see. Jill, good to see you in Virginia. Dave says, Jocelyn, you rock. She does. She's a busy lady. You're doing a lot of munching. Got to be careful that nobody in our group would do it, but some people log on and say you make too much noise when you chew and slurp and all that stuff. We'll see how it goes. Kaz, I am worried. I got to figure that out because you sent 2 beautiful pieces. The one of your son with the drums, the Ringo one. And then you sent a second one, and I have them both in that file. I will figure it out. Nancy, good to see you. That's okay, Nancy. We're going to do this every month. I promise. It's definitely going to be at least every month.
No, I just go.
You sure did. Well, it'll glue all that stuff you just spilled out of the hole in your lip. Will just glue to all of those Cheerios you just dropped all over your clothes. So it'll all fuse together to be something new. Thank you, Cynthia. Sorry, I was being a jerk. All right, let's see. Everybody's doing happy weekend. You're cold, Brandolyn. You're cold in Texas too. There's nothing more dramatic than a cold Texan. I bet. Yeah, you're just not used to it, right? You got to act out a little bit there. You got to express yourself. Susie, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Courtney, good to see you.
What is Texas like in the summer?
That's a good question. Jossie's asking, what is Texas like in the summer? She watches a lot of YouTube channels too, and one of the people who she at least used to watch constantly was in Texas, and there was always a lot
of people that I watch.
I guess a lot of people are in Texas who have like real popular channels. So what was your question? What is it like in the winter or the summer?
The summer.
Yeah, I think it's probably hot. But Texas is a huge state, so it would be different temperature. If you were like in the south or in the north, I would think it would be different temperature. And it says, as a mother of a 13-year-old, twin boys, I just love, oh, thank you. Sometimes it's fun to hang out with the kids when I'm at home. Because we had a snowstorm today, there was no way I was driving. Hot. Oh, I bet it's hot, right? Well, you know it's going to be hot. It's way down there. All right, here, don't move this booth. Don't move this booth. So let's get going. Finally, I got to actually say two more things. Two more things going on that were important, if I can remember what they were. Tonight is gallery night. My head is screwed on. Okay, two more things that are important. I am going to run an episode on my birthday on Monday. I don't know what it'll be yet. We'll certainly start the new Tamara Pavich book giveaway, but I'll come up with some great content too. I can't even think that far ahead. I'm just a bag of, I was going to say pus, but that makes no sense. Misery, horror. But over the weekend, I hope to reset myself a little and come up with a great episode for Monday. So I will be with you on Monday. It is my 50th birthday on Monday. Thank you. I know, I'm getting to be an ancient Egyptian mummy at this point. Papa gave that. Yeah, Papa gave that. So, oh, and Denise says, good evening. Happy Friday from Maryland. Oh, thank you so much. It should be a good reset weekend. So one of the things that I changed, I have two things that are different coming up. I'm not going to do updates on classes and everything because those should be on the calendar on ribboncandyhooking.com. We have a bunch of new things coming up. One of the new things that's coming up, I started talking, this is in the pipeline now. I started to talk, Kirsten, I brought this up with you a little bit, but I was talking to Kira about it because she sent an email. Please don't trip on the wire. And, you know, she started saying, we need to do a retreat. Let's do a retreat this year, like toward the end of the summer, early fall. And I said, let's do that. And I picked up where I left off at this place called Beauport, which is also called the Sleeper McCann House in Cape Ann, which is the North Shore of Boston, in the city of Gloucester, the town of Gloucester, where the perfect storm took place. Terrible tragedy, remember? The Andrea Doria. And don't distract me, my brain can't handle it. And there's a beautiful house there with tons of really old rugs, like not 20th century ones, very old ones. And we had something planned there in spring of 2020, which got canceled, as you can imagine. So I wrote back to them and they said, let's plan something, let's do something, because they have this giant attic room, giant, with the most luminous, gorgeous, haunting, hazy light. And it overlooks the water, like the beautiful inlet. It is so gorgeous, and it would be such a great place to go. Teddy, I'm recording, to have, like, throughout the day staggered, a bunch of different people coming in and teaching. So I would do something. I'm going to ask buddies that I have around here, like Haley from Loop by Loop, Naomi from Ravensgate Primitives, my Penny Rug buddy, Suzanne in Ohio. She said she'd think about it. Nasa Russo, who does the needle felting, all kinds of...
Button?
Last one. That's the last one.
That was button.
Okay, plug it in, and the animal leaves us. All right. I can't do these anymore here. I'm just like, it's too much. It's too much.
Buttons continue to
So,
Cheerios off.
okay, get the Cheerios and this disgusting UFO out of here, and don't step on the wire or the anything again. I'm going to have to delete this whole video. Yeah. Sit down, don't get up again. The real me. The real me is coming out. So anyway, I'm trying to plan something with them. Unfortunately, Kira had a death in the family suddenly today, and she had to book a ticket out. So we'll get back to planning this, but this is something that I'm going to put on the calendar, and I'm trying to keep the cost low. I'm trying to get good people here who don't do stuff in other places, who are pretty local New England people that all do different things, and plan a really fun event where we can travel to towns that are like 10 minutes away, where we can see more rugs, hit some antique centers, get some lobster, get some seafood, do some fun stuff together. So that's all in the pipeline. The other thing that changed over the weekend was I started a new promotion for Patreon, and I hate talking about money, but coffee time is a big part of my day and my life, and it's a huge money drain. So if you are at all able to support Ribbon Candy Hooking and what we do, not so much tonight. You're going to have to go ask Papa. That's not for me. I'm live. I'm live with people right now. That's a Papa question. Don't trip on the cord. All right. Yeah, I'm losing it. If you are at all able to support, I set up some new stuff on Patreon, which is a site that accidentally got deleted when we updated our store, Ribbon Candy Hooking. Unfortunately, reset itself and a bunch of things got deleted, including the link to Patreon. So Patreon is there, and I decided for people who are pledging to support the channel, $15 or more a month, I'm going to put out on the first of every month, starting on March 1st, a newsletter that is just for Patreon members, and a free pattern for people who are pledging 15 or more a month. Because I typically run, not lately with the book, but starting next week when all these bad deadlines are over, 4 episodes a week. And sometimes we go to 5 when I'm in really good form over the course of the whole month. So I just want you to know what's up there. The link to that is in this video here. but that helps a lot with the stuff I buy and all that for the show.
You're right. You are pretty quiet.
Oh, well, you have your sound off and don't put it on because I'll hear an echo. Let's get going.
It's connected to my headphones.
Oh, okay. She's on her headphones. Penny, good to see you. I was wondering if you'd make it because you started cocktail time a couple hours ago. I did too. And yeah, I didn't know if I'd make it either. I was right on the edge, right? All right. Teddy's going to say hi one more time. Thank you so much, Penny. Get him off. Get the animal off. See, that worked out really well. Teddy, in the other room, animal out there. Doritos and Cheerios plug came out of the wall again. Okay, we need to start, Joss. Next time you get up, that's going to be your exit for the night. And we love you, but it's going to be the last time a child interacts tonight. Welcome to Ribbon Candy Hooking. Let's do this. So I have my sheet, and you all sent me such beautiful examples of rugs. Man, I'm telling you, I'm going to fall apart. I'm going to fall apart on live TV today. So what we're going to do, let's go to our first. Lori, you sent me the first rug the other day. Thank you so much. And I have seen you work this rug in person when we were at Donna's place at Whispering Hill. And it was a beautiful rug. I've seen it in person, so I have a special affinity for it. Let's come down here. I am now sharing my screen. And here we are. There we go. So this is Lori's rug. Ooh, look at that.
Can I go?
Get away from that wire.
Can I go?
Can you? Yes, please go. Can you give me the glasses right there? Thank you. Yeah. All right. I love you, sweetie. You can come and say bye later, but right now I feel like my brain is bleeding. Okay, so Lori sent this beautiful example in. I absolutely love this rug. Lori, how big is this? This is huge. I remember that. This is huge. Morning Glories in Bunny. And Lori says, I utilized wool I inherited from my mom, except the navy border. Started in fall of 2020 and finished in July of 2021. The flowers have a dip dye, and I taught myself how to hook with it. In the top and bottom border, oh, I remember this, is a heart, the symbol of the time of COVID and the symbol of the time of COVID and the love of my mom and dad. So different symbols in the border. Oh, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. I remember when you posted this, you said, can anybody see what the symbols are in the border? And I was following that thread. So the symbol of the time of COVID, a heart, and for your love for your mom and dad. I know you have that closeness with your mom and the hooking connection. This is my dog's rug, as he always lays on it in my home office. Oh, that is so cute. Tigger's your dog, right? Oh, that is so, so, so cute. What a beauty. Speaking of dogs, look who's piping up now. All right. About 42 by 30. Yeah, that is large, isn't it? Beverly, did I say good evening to you yet? Good evening. That is super, super pretty. Karen Garby sent in a couple of beauties, a couple of her favorites that she's done. This is like a Tiffany glass. Isn't this gorgeous? This is just the essence of spring for me. It is so simple. It is so gorgeous. And guess what it is hooked with? It is all velvet. And Karen, I think you're on. Is this velvet from the velvet hook that Diane Collins does? She does such a good job with her velvet. But seeing the texture, I don't know how close up you can see it. I have it small because I've got a busy screen. But it is so beautiful. That velvet is so lush. And somehow it has that spring feel, doesn't it? It's that sort of marshmallowy, cushiony spring feel. Absolutely beautiful, Karen. Everybody's loving it. These are all going to be beautiful rugs tonight, I can tell you. There's nary a one that is not an out-of-the-park winner. This is another of Karen Garby's beautiful rugs, this eagle design. This really appeals to me. It's super patriotic, but what a beautiful portrait of an eagle. It's so realistic. I'm wondering if you're going to put this into a frame. This is such a gorgeous piece. It really is so real. So pretty. Karen Garby. I'm reading your comments as we go. Yeah, Mom, all velvet on that last one. Yes, it's all velvet from Diane. Karen says that is so. Let me shoot back to that one real quick. That is so pretty. And I know not everybody likes hooking with velvet. I love it. But I know not everybody does. I know it can be a struggle, and I know cutting it can be a little bit of a struggle. But what I've always done with velvet, it's different if I kit it, right, than if I'm just sitting on the couch using it myself. I usually sit on the couch with the velvet, And I don't like to cut more than I want. That's just in general when I'm hooking for myself, not making kids. I don't like to cut too much more than I want or need at that moment. So I sit with one of those really miniature, really small little cutting boards, and I keep it on the coffee table right next to me with a rotary. And honestly, I mean, I don't even make the pretense of measuring it in any way. I just cut it, with one eye on the thornbirds or whatever I'm watching, and the other eye looking down at the cutting. And they're never even. But the nature of velvet being a synthetic stretch and having that like lovely luminescent plush pile, it's so forgiving. You can never see when you're uneven with your strips. And the strips do tend to kick up a lot of lint. So I keep it down and I kind of shake it off in the trash. And the lint flies everywhere, but I vacuum it up afterward or vacuum it up straight from the air. Sometimes I cut a bunch of it if I know I'm going to have a marathon of hooking velvet, and I literally hold the tube like the hose to the vacuum and let the strips go down into the vacuum, and you would think it would mutilate them, but it really doesn't. Am I blue? I am so blue. She put on a super blue light. We'll just leave it. We'll just leave it. But that is maybe the thing about the velvet is prepping it as you go can be difficult, but the benefit and the payoff I think is huge. Jossie, do you want to come back, honey?
What?
Come on back. I feel bad. She's such a sweet little thing. Is stretch better? Yes, Lori. Stretch is way better than non-stretch because non-stretch would be like velveteen or like silk velvet would be an absolute nightmare. She's coming back.
Do I have to stay?
Oh, you don't have to. I thought you wanted to. I felt like I kicked you out because I went into like a bit of a downward spiral thing. Did you?
It's alright.
Really? Will you
Yeah.
come back later and give us some of your lovin's?
Right, bye.
Okay, good. Watch the cord. Yeah, I wouldn't at all attempt to do it with not stretch velvet. The stretch velvet pulls up so easily, like t-shirt material, but for me, even more lush and easy to manipulate than t-shirt material. And it's even the kind of thing that once you have it up on the surface and you've got all those big fat loops there, you can kind of pull one and it's domino effect. You can pull the one before it and you can adjust afterward. Whereas with not stretch velvet, um, guess who's on my lap? This is just like a day of harassment, right? A total day of harassment. Um, yeah, with the not stretch velvet, I wouldn't do it at all. I think it would be, and chime in if you have an opinion here, if you've hooked with not stretch velvet. But I think it would be an absolute nightmare. I think it would be like hooking with felt, like pure felt. It would just be having no stretch at all. Could be troubling. I'm going to add to that thought that this new thing I have where I was going to say when I get a free moment, which hasn't been lately, but when I hook into latch hook backing, now that's a different story because the openings are so much bigger. I would attempt to hook with anything into latch hook backing. But if I'm hooking into a cloth backing like rug warp or monk's cloth or linen, I wouldn't. I think it would be way too troubling. Jean, good to see you. You hate the lint, Karen. That is the thing, isn't it? It's the thing. And there's absolutely no way around it. It's the nature of it. Diane's tip is always to I'm really bad with this kind of thing because of my posture, sitting down like with the posture of a prawn. When I'm doing something for fun, I'm like in the couch cushion, like melded to it. But the proper thing to do, and Diane advises that the best way to combat that lint problem is to fold it onto itself. So right sides together. So the pile of lint is on the pile of lint, just like if you had it on a pin board and you were ironing velvet, right? If you've ever done that. And then you cut it that way. You still would want to shake it out or something because it's going to kick up the same amount of lint. But that is her official tip. So, okay. Animal really wants to be here tonight. Let's see. Let's go back over here and check out our next buddy. Karen, those were just beautiful. Lori, the bunny was beautiful. I'm going to put that away. Brandolyn, here is your Texas sunset. This is so pretty. So Brandolyn says, I think at this moment I am the most proud of this piece because it is all my own. I came up with the idea. I dyed the stockings I bought from you, from me, and hooked the sky probably 3 times before I thought it was a proper West Texas sunset. Oh, Joan, good to see you. South Coast, New Hampshire. Beautiful. Brandolyn, this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. And I love to see things hung on these wire hangers. Aren't those fun? Oh, has anyone punched with velvet yarn? Yes, Sandra, my mom has punched with velvet yarn. Mom, if you want to chime in, it was not good. So my mom was punching with velvet yarn. Brendlin, we're going to come back to Texas Sunset because that silhouette is just beautiful. I'm not done with that. Um, maybe so. I'm going to say my mom has punched with the Amy Oxford regular punch. I think it's a number 10 with chenille, right? And they call it velvet yarn, but it's not. It's chenille and it's thick and it looks velvety and it did not work. Even with the regular needle, which is the largest one you can get in terms of how wide that shaft is, it still did not work. So that was an exercise in frustration. I think my mom ended up giving me the yarn to hook with. But I would love to hear if someone else, because there are more than one velvet yarns. We got ours at like Joann's or something. We were in the store and we saw it, and it was summer, and we were longing for fall and winter, and we went, oh, this velvet yarn. It was the chenille, and it looked so warm and plush that she bought like every color, and it didn't work at all. So yeah, I'd be real curious to see what other people have to say about that because that was like a big wah wah, as you can imagine, after she filled up the cart with it. Let's go back over here. I want to look at Brandolin's again. Brandolin says, I made it for my brother's apartment, but I can't quite bring myself to take it off that hanger and send it to him. Oh, wait a minute. I got the wrong image up. Hang on. I got the wrong image up. I know what you mean. That is so funny. Well, you know what? Could you make another one? Because now you've got it's like in the bag, right? Now you've got it. But oh, Kaz says, where did you find the hanger? Um, Brandolin, I know what you mean. It's hard to part with something that you love so much. I totally, totally get that. You know, Kaz, I was thinking not that long ago, one of my 3 a.m. thoughts. People make these hangers. They sell these on Etsy. There's quite a few people who make them for like small quilt, mini quilts on Etsy. And I thought one of these days, when there is time, I would love to do a class because I used to teach a lot of things back in the day when I was a tour guide and I always had the winters off. I used to teach a lot of things at the local community college. And I taught stained glass and I taught polymer clay, and sometimes I did stuff with wire. And I always thought, if you had a large enough gauge, because they do sell this thicker wire, not like the jewelry wire, but the thicker wire, all different colors on these little spoons, and on Amazon too. They sell it at all the big craft stores. They sell it in a lot of places. And it would be perfectly within the realm of reason to think about making that kind of a hanger. So I keep thinking one of these days, I think I'm going to try to sit down and make a hanger or a few different designs because then we could like post patterns or silhouettes because I've seen people do them with like a pumpkin or the silhouette of a witch flying on a broomstick for Halloween, right? Or different things for different holidays or seasons. It's not hard to do. And that wire, I'll have to think about what gauge it would have been. But that medium gauged wire, right, that you can just with like little needle nose plier manipulate it so easily. That would be a fun project to do because a lot of us do the smaller size walled quilts. And once we had that in our bag of tricks, just fooling with the wire and getting that hanger done, um, the world is your oyster at that point, right? You could really tailor it to the size of rug that you're finishing. That's a to be continued. But in the meantime, there's tons of them on Etsy. And I'm sure Brandolin's got to say, she got that one at the Hobby Lobby. They are on Amazon. My brother made one out of barbed wire. Oh, very cool to hang it when he gets it. So maybe you do have to send it. But you could make another one. You could make like the double, the twin to it, right? That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think so, Kaz. I think that should be one of our next obvious things because hanging stuff is always a real bear, isn't it? That's something that we always come back to as far as how are you hanging your stuff and how did you get that on the wall? It's a big problem because we are people who make rugs, right? We are ruggers. We are not installation artists. We are not engineers. And it is tricky figuring out how to get your piece safely up on the wall. So that is a big to be continued. Cindy, a company called Ackfield Manufacturing makes some. Excellent. If you see that in the comments, Ackfield Manufacturing. That's great. Sandra says, easy to make for purchase, a wire jig to form the circular shapes. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have to look at that idea some more. Brandolin, that is so pretty, and we all feel for you. Your brother is going to love it, though. But yeah, that is absolutely beautiful. What a gorgeous design. You really, really killed it with these silhouettes. So charming. The little pair, the little couple, and then this stocking sky, right, made out of pantyhose that are cut up. Absolutely beautiful color placement, and it's such a pleasure to work with the pantyhose, just like with the velvet, except no lint. Very, very easy. Deborah says driftwood would be beautiful. That is so true. Driftwood would be so beautiful. We're going to have to do something, put out the word, like come up with some ideas or send some examples of cool and funky ways that you have put your pieces up, right? Because I bet people have done all of these things, and I bet they've created some amazing examples. So it's just a question of finding them, isn't it? Let's come back over here, Buttons the dog. Karen Budnick. Karen, this is your. Oh, I love this one. Let me get my paperwork. Hang on, Karen. My first and so far only teacher thought this would be a good project for a beginner. Well, that's a tricky one, but man, you slayed it. That is absolutely perfect. It's a chair suite. It's a chair seat. It says something rose. Let's see if she wrote that. It looks like it's a Pearl McGown, right? That's got to be a Pearl McGown. That is so lovely. So your teacher thought that would be a good project for a beginner. I put it away for years because it was too challenging and finally bit the bullet and got it done. It actually turned me against rug hooking for much too long. You know, that can happen, can't it? Because this is one of the sort of old school type patterns. It is so beautiful. There is shading in it. There is fineness in it. There's some filigree. There's a lot of color changing, and I can see how this would be challenging and could be frustrating. It's so beautiful. You're getting so many nice compliments, and they're all well deserved. You nailed it. Absolutely. And you know, it's so hard because primitives in the middle 20th century, as we know, in the era of Pearl McGown, by the way, that Pearl McGown class I pushed back, but still coming up, and it is going to be a fantastic class, designing like Pearl McGown. In that era, the desire really was to hook in that specific way with shading, right? With those designs that were all tricky. There really weren't primitive designs where you would say, well, give me that, but as the beginner version of it. It didn't really exist. The whole push was to be technical, technically very proficient, right? And very successful technically. And people would be telling you where you would place all your colors and all that would be done for you. It would be the technical part that you were really responsible for. And as a beginner, I can see how approaching that kind of pattern would be overwhelming, right? Absolutely overwhelming. Just like if you were going to paint it. If someone gave me a watercolor set of paints and a brush and said, do that exact design and paint, I would say, this isn't the one I want to start with. This is really a bit tricky. But you did it. You did it. And it's a shame when you do a piece that turns you against a craft that you're really destined to enjoy. But luckily, you got back on the horse, and that's it. One of the great things about social media these days is we tend to catch a lot of people on the way back around the bend, right? And that is a good feeling when that happens. It is super beautiful. Crazy pattern for beginner, Aileen says. It is. But you did do an awesome job. Absolutely awesome. Let me get my face off and come back. That really is so, so pretty. I'm trying to see what it says. Something rose. I was just going to say I must be brain dead or losing my mind. And I would say like too late. Absolutely. Been there. But nonetheless, it doesn't seem obvious to me what the name of that is. What a pretty pattern. You know, and this week while I was looking at, oh, Joan says it's important not to get pigeonholed into what hooking is supposed to be. Otherwise, you'll never find your own groove. Isn't that the preach, Joan? Preach. That is the truth. That is the essence. That is the whole story. You know, and again, it comes back to that idea that some people are very, very technical and they want to do this craft and they want to do it in a way that they're told at every step of the way where it goes paint by number style, where the colors go and how it's done. And for people that enjoy that, that is great. But for people that don't enjoy that and want a little more wiggle room and breathing room, um, historically the style of teaching can be tough for that, right? So it's so good when we all vocalize the same sentiment and say, you have got to get your groove on. You're not going to find your groove if you don't deviate, right? And experiment. So I love that sentiment. I absolutely love it. Sue's Rose. Oh, you know, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It could well be. Yeah, good one. That makes a lot of sense. You all are so good. See, your brains are working. I'm envious. And it's not age, it's pain. It's pain and suffering. I feel fine. I feel fine for turning 50, but it's pain and suffering lately. I'm stopping. Don't let me get started again. All right, so let's see. Karen, that was just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Aileen, Aileen, you sent some beautiful pieces, really beautiful pieces. Now, Aileen, this piece I have in the book project, and I have it correct in the book project, but remind me, is your dog's name Scarlet? Is that right, or did I dream that? I remember I put this in. That feels like so long ago to me now, but I feel like your pup's name is Scarlet. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece. Um, I just love this one. I love the character of the dog. I love the cartoon quality. I love the contrast. I love the simple background. I love the sort of heart that could be like a collar. So, so, so cute. You've got great color change going. You've got great height. This looks like it's all yarn. It's very simple. It doesn't look huge. You nailed it. Line wise, you just nailed it. Joss, you should see this one. You're going to love this one. You should see this image. This is going to be one of your favorites. I think this she's going to love this one because she loves animals so much. I'm curious to see. I feel like it was Scarlet. That's my aunt's poodle named Scarlet. All right, that's your aunt's poodle. That's right. Isn't that adorable? Can you see? Isn't that too cute? Oh, I got the name right. I just got the relationship wrong. I love the heart on that pup too. That is so cute. So Aileen sent this one, which is fantastic, and this lighthouse. That is amazing. Aileen, do you have a name for that one? This is just so the light coming off of this is so pretty, and the way that the rocks are articulated, like very, very shapy, right? So pretty. I love the way that the waves reflected in that giant moon almost look like birds, except that it's night. All those little stars in the sky. Oh, it is so pretty. I love the shape of the evergreens. I love the sort of horizontal on the evergreens because evergreens are often done so, so, so dark. Oh, I love all. I'm just reading the comments at the same time. I love the comments. Velvet in the top knot in the ears. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta pop back for a minute. Velvet in. Hold on one second. Velvet in the top knot and the ears. Oh, how great is that? Isn't that nice to know what went into it? Fantastic. And let me come back to the lighthouse. Yeah, this piece really speaks to me. It has such a summer feel. It's summer and it's night, and you hardly ever see that, do you? I assume it's summer because the trees are so green. I love the color. I love seeing that skeletal spine going up through them. I love the way that they're stacked, like the shape of them is stacked. I think that's smart. It works well. You have a very strong horizon line, and that is really helping with the composition. It is just beautiful, and the colors are great. You've got red in just the right places. It is just a beautiful piece. It jumps out. It absolutely does. Absolutely. And Aileen, you sent this another beautiful image. I called it winter. Nope, not this one. Oh no, don't tell me I put the same image in twice. Don't tell me that I did that. Uh-oh. Okay, Aileen, I put the same image in twice. I'm going to try to fix this at the end of the episode when I try to fix Kaz's too. I am a special person for you here tonight. I am so sorry. There's another beautiful image that was on the Facebook group too. It was like a winter scene, right, with a little cardinal and an evergreen tree and a little bit of snow on the ground. I'll see if I can pull that up in a hurry at the end. I am so sorry. I just can't tell you how horrible it's been lately. It is a pattern of Christine Little's adapted for me. Okay, it is a pattern, Christine. Okay, the lighthouse, Christine Little adapted for you, for your mother, representing my uncle returning home from his role as a ship's pilot. He died a few years ago and he's still missed. Oh man, all right, let's look at that again. Now that I know the story, I want to look at that again. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, see, that is like almost a memorial piece, right? That is just beautiful. Just beautiful. Well, Aileen, if I fail later, which it's me, so that's entirely possible, then the ones that I screwed up this time will certainly be in next time. I'm not kind of an idiot tonight. All right, Linda. Oh, Linda, this is so pretty. Linda, wait a minute. I feel like you said that this was your first one. Linda Radford, this is currently my favorite because it's my first one. Can you believe it? It's now this seems like a good first project to me. Karen, I feel like that first project for you, that would put anybody, throw them for a loop. This is a good first project, but you know what, Linda? You took it beyond the first project. You took it to another level. I love seeing things like this. She said, I just completed a beginner's rug hooking kit with wool. I must admit, this is addicting. I'm looking forward to the next project. I bet. I think we all feel the same way. You know, what I love about this, I love the colors, I love the shapes, I love those white flecks in the center. I love the movement of that green stem, and I like the brown stem hiding behind it. What I really love about this piece is in the top left-hand corner, that little bit of blue kind of creeps in and wraps around. And as soon as I spotted that little bit of blue, my eye is traveling all over the piece looking for more, because I love it when things are uneven and unbalanced, right? Like myself. So I just love that. I loved seeing that little spot of differentness. It's so almost stencil like. It has a stencil like quality. It's so neat and tidy and charming. But then I saw this background effect that made it look a little bit different, and my eye kept looking for that mystery blue. And it is just a great, great, great project to start with. And see, this is the opposite experience when you have when you start with a project that you feel you got it. It really sets you up, doesn't it? You really feel like world is my oyster, I got this. And then you feel like doing more. It's the opposite of starting on a note of stress and uncertainty and lacking confidence, right? It's just the yin and the yang. So the main thing is that we're all here, we're all working on projects, we're all finding our groove, right, Joan? And we all get into it and figure it out as time goes on. And every project is not going to be great for every person. There's always a part in every project that I do that I not only hate the project, but I also hate myself. I think a lot of people have that feeling that it's like the artistic temperament. Do you think you could let that animal out? Nobody's here. Nobody's here. So normally that's a good thing, but the animal's at the door barking. Very nice first creation. My mom says, love the multicolored background. Jocelyn, I'm not going to do it because I'll trip on every wire, and that'll be that. All right, so let's come back and look at our next one. What a beauty. What a beauty. Linda, you killed it. Colleen. Oh, dear. This is another great piece. Aren't these all great pieces tonight? I mean, aren't they all beautiful? Colleen says, favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite, Matt. As a lot of time, as a lot of my of the time, it's the one I'm working on at that moment, right? That does happen. That you're in love with the one of the moment. But she said, but not always. This is one I made that reflects a special place at a special time with my special man. It's called Time After Time. You know, Colleen, I wonder if that's the Cyndi Lauper song, Time After Time, right? Because I noticed you put up a beautiful, your most recent one in the garden. You said that one was called Fields of Gold because that's your favorite Sting song. And I remember that because that's my favorite Sting song too. So I wonder if this is your favorite. I don't even know if Cyndi Lauper is the original writer on Time After Time, but what a beautiful song that is. But this piece is beautiful, and it's called Time After Time. And she says, I don't know why I call it a favorite, except that it brings me peace and warmth when I look at it. And I feel that. I feel that too. I just love the colors. You know, this has a lot in common with the piece of Aileen's that we just looked at. You're both Canadian too. I just love that textured wool in the background behind the figure. I love the tree with the broken up steps, the broken up layers, right? Like the evergreens of Aileen's that we were just looking at that were stepped. This is stepped in a different way. It's a different kind of a tree. You know, I remember when we were doing our Klimt class, one of the exercises we did in that Design Like Klimt class was with a tree, and it was right around Christmas. There was one before, one right after, and I was trying not to bring too much Christmas to it because I know not everybody celebrates Christmas. But the exercise was to, because Klimt did so much with trees, was to break down a tree to a skeleton and then be adding layers to it part by part. Be very thoughtful about the way that you went about it. Now, these two trees that we've looked at, the evergreens that we saw in Aileen's lighthouse and also Colleen's tree here, these are the Sandra says, this speaks to my Mohawk heart. That's beautiful. Absolutely. It does have that feeling of nature, like all encompassing, all around you. It's vast, right? The panorama is vast. I love the tree and I love the ground. Again, like Aileen's lighthouse, it has that chopped up, very piece driven, shape driven ground, and it adds so much interest. It also gives the aura or impression of roots, right? All of those pieces in the ground. It grounds your eye. It's like a patchwork quilt. It brings you right down. And when you float up, you see these different layers or shelves of color, and they are so beautiful. With a little bit of darkness, right? A little bit of darkness in between is okay, because in the distance you see eventually there is the sun, and you feel with the yellow and the orange, it's probably sunset, maybe sunrise, but probably sunset. the promise of light, right? You get that feeling of relief when your eye reaches the top. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece. Colleen, I don't know if you're on tonight, but I love this piece. I absolutely love it. Lori, you sent some beautiful pieces, Lori. Lori says, looking forward to your cocktail hour. Here are a few picks of rugs that I've done this past year that I absolutely love. Well, I know why you love them. These are the most special rugs in the world, right? They are for my grandchildren, twin girls who are 6 and my grandson who is 5. So these are for the twin girls, Ricky and Riley. Aren't those beautiful? Who made Sandra, that one was Colleen. The one before was Colleen. And I'm wondering if she's going to pop on. She's in Canada too. I know she's having some busy times right now, so maybe not. I heard from her yesterday, but maybe not. We can ask her to post it again in the group though, because it is a beautiful piece. So, Lori, I love these, and I love that they're for family members. These are just beautiful. You know, doing rugs for a family, and Brandolyn knows this story. It's the perfect gift, right? I mean, it's just the ultimate gift. You're using your talent, your time to make something that is really customized for someone who you love so much. Twin girls in this case, this one is so pretty. And then this one for your grandson. And I have to say, this is the best guitar I've ever seen hooked. It is so good. You can even see little strings on it. It's probably the directional hooking of the neck, right? But your little pegs on top, those little white pegs, I mean, that is really well done guitar. Really beautiful. It's so important and so special to do stuff like this. And, you know, I struggle with this too because I usually do my kids' designs and not do things for them. The thing is, tastes change, right? This always happens. But you know, you might as well do it. You might as well make rugs that they love now because they are heirlooms and they will always have them. And if their tastes change, you could always do different ones next time, right? Because what's better than making a gift for somebody you love, right? That's the thing about inspiration is sometimes you're just at the end of what you can do in terms of um, emotion, right? Emotion, inspiration, thought, creativity. Sometimes it's just not there. We all have this. This is the story of my life. I'm going to see if I can shut this blue light off before you see an X-ray of like my teeth and my skeleton through my clothing. Let's see. There we go. That's got to be better, right? So I put my boobs right in the camera for a minute. But you know, it's like when you're not feeling super inspired to do something and it's just not there, that's maybe a great minute to think, maybe I'll make something for somebody I love because that's always there, isn't it? You pull from something that's always there. When the rest of it is up in the air, that's always there. I love those rugs. That's a great reminder. Rockin' guitar, my mom says, and revving motorbikes. What boy wouldn't love that rug? That is so beautiful. So beautiful. All right, let me see. Let me come back over here. Oh, Barbara, good to see you. Oh, you're fine, Barbara. We will take you anytime. Sandra, here are yours right here. Let me put this one down. Lori, I love these. Sandra, oh my gosh. I forgot. So Sandra did this. This one is going on my kitchen wall when I finally figure out which way I want to hang it. Now, there we go. Back to the conversation of how do you hang it, right? I love this piece. When you posted this piece, Jocelyn had just been on a bender painting little rocks with a paint pen, hamburgers and fries on them. And I just thought that is so funny. I have seen a lot of hamburgers today, and this one was just stunning. And, you know, for me, this is like, it's so hard. So many people do want to put rugs up in all of their rooms. I'm one of them. The kitchen is a tough one. When you think of a design for a rug that you would like to hang in your kitchen, that's one to run with because that is a tall order, right? This is so beautiful. It's so graphic. It makes you hungry. It's colorful. It's a proper piece of pop art. It really is fantastic. I just love it. It's so well done. I love the colors. I love the outlining. It's juicy. It's dripping. The raw onions. Everything is glittering and enticing. This is a perfect piece for the kitchen. I guess the question then becomes, are there going to be companion pieces to this? You know, are there going to be other meals on a red background or on a different solid background? Because we're working toward Andy Warhol here with a piece as strong as this. This is such a strong graphic. It does make me wonder if you're going to make some more pieces that are food to add to it because this is amazing. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece. Imagine if this were hanging in a restaurant. People would admire this so much. Hang it from a giant fork. Oh, Deborah, that is so smart. That is so Smart. There must be such a thing as a giant fork, right? There must be. Sounded like I was making a bad joke there, but there must be. On eBay or something like that, somebody has got to have made a giant fork. That would be the funniest. I was going to say a pitchfork, but you really want it to look like a dining fork, right? That's a great idea. How funny would that be? I love that. And if you couldn't find a giant fork, you could try to evolve this idea and use utensils somehow. I like the fork though. I really like that. That is so good. Hot dog, ketchup, mustard. Yep, absolutely. Wouldn't that be fantastic? I just love this. It makes me wonder, what do you have? Does anybody else have a rug in your kitchen, and what is it? Um, I'm just one. I mean, I'm trying to think for myself too. If I were to do a rug, I wonder what I would do. If it would be like plates, or I don't know. It's worth thinking about because the kitchen is like a Bermuda Triangle of rugs, and the rest of the house is like smattered and spattered. But the kitchen is tough subject wise. I'd be so curious to know what everybody's doing. What size is the hamburger rug? Jean says. What size is it, Sandra? That is so funny. Let me get rid of my face and put the hamburger back up. I knew this was going to be a popular one tonight because it's so different. And I'm just thinking to myself, coming into a different season, I've been completely consumed by the book, so there has been no other thoughts in my head at all. It's just vacant other than that. But before that happened, oh, she says it's 36 by 34 barbecue fork. Yeah, oh, you know what, Lori, that's a good idea because the barbecue stuff has this, that's a great idea, the super long arms, right? So you don't have to catch fire when you're barbecuing. That's a great idea. Everybody's coming up. Yeah, I think it'd be great to add to it. I was just going to say, before busyness, I was so consumed with holiday stuff, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And now that we're at the beginning of the year again, and there's been a couple days when the horrible cold has kind of lifted and given us a little bit of a gift, warmer temps. And I'm starting to think, I'm sure as you are, about springtime and being on that bridge to what's the next thing. I'm starting to think about barbecues and things like that. And this hamburger really appeals to me. It's reminded me about summer times and barbecues, really positive connotation. Nancy says a bowl of fruit. Well, that would be beautiful and graphic too. I think the thing is, whatever you choose, you're going to do it in your style with that great graphic outlining and that great sort of humor to it. And whatever you choose, it's going to match beautifully. It's going to be perfect little bedfellows up there on the wall next to each other. However many you do, it would be a wonderful, wonderful challenge. What a lot of fun. I love that. Mary Jo. Mary Jo said something so pretty. Mary Jo does all pretty things. Mary Jo's company is Northwest Folk Design. And, I have to tell you because I don't often enough promote Mary Jo, and I love her. I love her work. I'm using a lot of her images in the book that I'm working on. She does such great work. Very primitive, very beautiful, very soft colors. And with this piece, I'm going to tell you what she said first. She's got a story for all of her pieces. And she had a blog. She doesn't do the blog anymore, but she had a blog where she really tells you lots of the background to the different rugs that she's designed. And the stories are always deep and kind of tear jerkers and beautiful, really beautiful. And it's a blog that I have read word for word at this point. I wish she would get back to doing it again. Hot fudge sundae, please, Joan says. It's funny. But anyway, check out if you Google Mary Jo, and she spells it Marijo. Thought it was like a European spelling when I first read it, but it's actually Mary Jo Taylor, and her company's Northwest Folk Design. And if you do blog, you might be able to pull up her blog with beautiful writing. I keep saying to her, "You've got to write a book." It's absolutely beautiful. She said in the spring of 2014, three rug hookers, independent of one another, told me that I should design a goat rug, and so I did. Kids at play. Each goat represents my friends and their favorite flowers, trillium, hydrangea, and the heavenly scented sweet pea. I love how happy these goats are. It is a good day to be a kid. And then she does love Mary Jo. Such a beautiful story, right? And such a curious thing that three friends in 1 month would ask for the same kind of rug. So she gave them all a special flower and represented all of the friends and the three different goats. I think it's a beautiful story, a beautiful rug. When I was working, while I am working on this book project, I have Mary Jo in the rug hooking chapter. I said to her, I had written a long passage about her. I made her into a sidebar, and I said, you know, you're so much more than a sidebar, of course, but I wrote quite a bit about her company because I love it, and I think it's an important rug hooking company. I think it's important what she does and what her sort of look is. I think it's important to our craft art, and um, and I had written my idea of what her colors were because they're very, very soft. And I wrote this big waxing lyrical, you know, nonsense that I tend to do when I'm like overdoing it. And you know, oh, her colors are like, you know, walking through Paris and looking in a pastry window of beautiful piles of meringues and ice cream colors, you know. And she wrote back. I could tell she was hesitating because I could tell she was live. And she wrote back and she said, "Give me a minute to think about like how I see my colors." And I said, "Absolutely. This is your work. You tell me what you want me to write. I'm not gonna. It's not about what my impression is. It's about what you meant when you made it." And she ended up writing back a little while later, and she said, the colors are so important to me because she lives in the Midwest and all of her work sort of derives from her location. She's a very sort of geographic centric designer. She loves nature, she loves what she sees around her. And all of her colors are named after plants and insects that are native to the Northwest. And I thought, well, I'm so glad that we had this conversation because that is so special. And that is a huge part of her look and what her company does, right? Because she also sells wool. So I was so glad that she spoke up and said, "Well, it's not really that; it's this." Because what these colors are about, looking at her rug again, are so much better knowing that these are all colors that are from her immediate surroundings. I think it's so beautiful. What part of the Pacific Northwest, Deborah? Boy, you know, a couple weeks ago, I would have had the answer like this because my brain was still working. You know, it might pop in while my mouth is running later in this episode. Otherwise, I would have to check. It was at the tip of my tongue because I wrote so much about her, and I said, "Oh, I would love to come out and see you." I feel like it's got to be. I feel like it's Washington. I feel like it's Washington. Um, Specifically, I knew her town name. Let me see if I can regurgitate it from like a week ago. I'm guessing you're from there too, because that would be a really neat link up. She's such a busy rug hooker and she's such a busy designer. She's just fantastic. We're going to see another one of her pieces in a minute that somebody else has hooked. But I absolutely love this. The kids and the go. I mean, this is just a great story. Go and check out her blog if you can. Bookmark it, because God forbid it ever goes away. It's filled with interesting information, beautiful stories. Cynthia Roberts. Hold on, let me get. Yep, here it is. I love this piece. Talk about summer, right? I'm feeling it again. I'm feeling it again. Another beautiful, up in the top left hand corner, another beautiful. Please share the name of her business, Northwest. Let me get this right. Northwest Folk. Hold on, Linda. What did I say? Northwest. Yep, Northwest Folk Design. She's got a beautiful Etsy store, which I love checking out, but also her blog is just, and again, the blog is not current. And if you end up reading it or getting in touch with her, you have to say to her, Mary Jo, get on it, get back into that blog because she goes through like seasons and cycles too, where she feels like doing something, and she ended up not working on that blog anymore. And I just wish that she would pick it up again because it was one of those really inspirational blogs, and it was, I'm going to say, one of the best, if not the best, rug hooking blog I've seen because the images were so beautiful and the text that she added was personal and thoughtful and meaningful, and it related to what we were looking at perfectly. It made everything ring and make sense, and it was the kind of thing that I remember the stories still, that I read about her rugs. It was that well written, so you have to check her out. So, all right, so Cynthia, coming back to, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the top left hand corner, that summery nighttime view again of the log cabin. I love this idea. I am ready. Oh, you think so, Kaz? That this is a very good rug for any place, right? Because this could be anybody's rug, a man's rug, man cave, woman's rug. If these are the things that you like, and these are the kinds of places you vacation, and the vignettes that really stir you and move you and remind you of good memories, then this is going to be a perfect rug, isn't it? Cynthia says she doesn't know how much info I want, but she says she gave me a lot of good info. Hooked with wool strips and yarn. This is a design from Spruce Ridge Studio. And this design is called, get ready, Kaz, Up North from Spruce Ridge Studio. They are great. I have been on their page quite a bit and I love their designs. It's about 40 by 30 inches. Hooked for friends who have a summer home in Colorado that keep inviting us back. Oh, that is a nice reason to give a gift like this, isn't it? The pattern has a salmon that I changed to a rainbow trout because that's what we catch, and a tent that I changed to a little orange trailer because they have one of those. Isn't that funny? You changed everything up a little bit so it was super personalized. Isn't that this is just adorable. Isn't it just even better than the best when you know that people have made little tweaks that have personalized and customized the thing so much? It's so much more special. Nancy says this would look good in my home. It is a big rug, but it's got all those different compartments to it. It gives you lots of opportunities to get it right. Because look behind the little canoe, the paddles there. You see the waves, right? Even that has been really well articulated. Behind the mountains, you get whispers of clouds. In that night sky behind that log cabin, there's movement in all of the skies that we see. There's even little waves around the rainbow trout. It really is so pretty. My mom says, this is a great rug. Reminds me of a state rug. The bear prints and tall trees and the moose canoe and paddles. I want to stay in that cabin. Me too. It's true, it does. Doing a composition like that, because we do see a lot of state rugs and these kinds of designs, right? And often you just get like the animal or the flower or a combo of the animal and the flower. But this is a nicer way to portray like a state. I know this is for a place in Colorado, not a state rug, but it would be ambitious, but I think actually easier if you were going to attack the idea of designing a state rug. If you broke it up into compartments like this, right? Because it's way more manageable like this. And then think about what different memories or what different motifs you would like to put into each compartment. The thing that's holding this composition together are the two side borders, right? Because otherwise it would be like a crazy quilt. It would be a patchwork of many things. But having those paw prints in the four corners, very, very strong, anchoring that down, and then the two trees repeating on the sides really gives you a before and after, almost like you opened up a book, right? And you're holding it where the two trees are and you're looking at the pictures on the inside. It really stabilizes the whole composition and you're able to go forward with making a quite busy composition, partly because they are compartmentalized and partly because there is some sameness in the composition with those two borders on the side. I love that there's only two borders and not four. I feel like if there were four, it would be so much more predictable. Great design, and the changes that have been made to it, even better, even better. I can't imagine it being any better than this. Absolutely love that, Cynthia. You did a great job. Nada, you sent a beautiful piece. I hope you can see this. Look at this face looking out at us. You see that little face with those little bright piercing eyes. This is just too much. Nada Ferris has made 68 rugs, and this is her favorite one. Isn't this fantastic? Nose, bees, and ears needle felted, sari silk in the leaves and the deep small lines of the petals. So she's got sari silk, she's got needle felting, right? We'll talk about that again in a second. Roving in the sheep, right? In the sheep's body. I'm hoping you're seeing this a lot bigger than I am, Cynthia. That was beautiful. She's got so much going on. Nada is such a master. Like she's a master. Roving in the sheep's body, border added. So she added this border. This is like a sawtooth border, isn't it? Like touching on a quilt pattern. Absolutely beautiful. This is so atmospheric. It's so cheerful. I love the position and the size of the sheep, right? I love those piercing eyes looking out at you with the color that really parallels and mimics, pulls those sunflowers and pulls that border. Absolute perfect composition. It doesn't get any better than this. Patterned by Joanne Gerwig, Gerwig, Woodcrest Rug Designs. So that's one word, Woodcrest Rug Designs. Nada, this is just absolutely beautiful. So I love the idea that part of it is needle felted. He is lovely, isn't he, Lori? Absolutely. So I just want to expand on what Nada gave us about that. When you're doing needle felting, right? So when we're talking about felting, this is just going to be a side note because you probably already know this. There are many kinds of felting, right? So felting goes back to like the Bronze Age, right? Felt is like well, linen is the earliest fiber that we know of, but felt is right back there in like the 3000 BC range, right? So people have been using felt for a long time because they figured out, and as the story goes, Saint Clement, right? he was being sort of chased, persecuted, religious persecution, being chased out of Rome by the Romans. And he had blisters on his feet. And as the story goes, he filled up his shoes with wool. And as he ran, right, for comfort, as he ran, his feet became more comfortable. He escaped for the time being, to be continued. And when he took his shoes off, as legend has it, the wool that he'd stuffed into his shoes formed the shape of socks because of moisture, because of agitation, because of all that rubbing while he was running. Now, true story or not, who knows, right? Who cares, really? It's a beautiful story and it makes a good point. Turns out he escaped, but then apparently he became Pope and then became a martyr when they fastened an anchor around his neck and cast him into the sea. That's a really bad day. But the point is, with felting, there's so many different kinds of it. Kinds of felting. It can be confusing. But the split for people, if you are approaching felting for the first time, the split is wet felting versus dry felting. So I'm not an expert on the subject, but what I know is that Nasa Russo is and Lori Newman is. I'm going to show one of her pictures in a minute. Um, what I know is that if you are wet felting, you are agitating your felt, right? So just like all of the times, I hope it's not been many, hope it's not been as many as me that I've put a sweater into the wash by accident and dryer and it comes out miniature and felted, right? That's felting. That's a form of felting. Agitation, warm water, all of that rubbing, all of that movement, a little bit of soap, mild soap, warm water, and agitation is what allows you to wet felt. So whether you've got a washboard out and you're going full hog with the whole thing, or you've just got some bubble wrap on your table, you can just take out bubble wrap, spray bottle of water, put your felt in layers, and then you start agitating it with a little mild soap in the spray bottle, and that is wet felting. It's as easy and simple as that. And when you wet felt, you can come up with a piece that is quite lumpy bumpy, thick, dense, all kinds of things. Beautiful. Also can become three-dimensional, but people tend to use wet felting for, like, example, the backgrounds of things very often because it's a nice thick piece. Needle felting is different than wet felting. Needle felt, you do not use the water. You are using the single little pin, and it comes in different sizes. You can use those tools from Clover that hold like 5 or 6 of the pins, but my experience with those is that with 5 or 6 pins, stabbing into your wool many, many times, every time you stab, one of those 5 or 6 needles goes in a slightly different direction each time, and sooner or later, it's usually sooner, they start snapping. When you're holding one single needle to needle felt, it can snap too, right? It snaps all the time for me. But that's why they sell so many of them, and that's why they're like cheaper than anything. So when you're doing dry felting, the question becomes, what can I felt onto? I've got some roving that I got from Etsy or I made, right? I've got some roving. It's like cotton candy. I'm going to pull off a little wisp of it. I want to put it down. I want to turn it into a flower petal. I've got my little felting needle. It's like a little L key, right? If you shop at IKEA, God forbid, right? Um, and what do I felt into? So the thing that, Teddy, can you stop with that repetitive noise? The thing that you felt into that is going to work the best is felt, right? Is wool, not felt. So that's why a lot of people do wet felting to establish a background and then they build onto it with dry felting. What else can you needle felt into? Well, rug hooking, right? Particularly if it's wool. You can felt needle into wool blends. You can felt needle into cut up sweaters, the ones that you put through the wash and they shrunk. You take them out, cut the sleeves off, put them over your rug hooking frame, just start felting into them. That is going to be perfect, match made in heaven. Felting into wool works great, or wool blends. But what I've seen some of lately, including this piece that Nada did that is so exceptional, is she has felted into the rug hooking, right? So she said in the ears, I think that she did felting. That means that she had already hooked wool, presumably wool. And then she got little wisps of roving, I'm guessing, and used the needle felt and added those dry felt style into the ears. And then you've really got something. Then you're doing this crazy mashup, fusion of things where the sky is the limit, right? Because then you're adding a layer of wispiness to a composition that is otherwise loops and has a real formula and directional flow. You're adding a layer of wispiness, almost like you're in an airplane looking down and there's clouds in the middle, right? You can get so many different effects when you start thinking about using dry needle felting to a piece that you've already hooked. And it's worth it if you have a piece that you're not at peace with and you're thinking, what else can I do? There's no way, a homie doesn't want to play this game anymore. I'm not going back in and taking anything out. that ship has sailed. If there's something I can do to it to make myself fall in love with it at all, let's give it a try. Think about possibly needle felting onto it because it adds a whole other look, a whole other dimension. I don't mean to hide it. I mean to enhance, bring different things out, bring directional flow out. There's so many things that you can do with needle felting. I think it's brilliant. How fun would that be to do on pennies? Super fun. Super, super fun. That would work great on pennies. Um, so beautiful, right? So let's come back to that. I'll shut my mouth. I just wanted to pick that out because I know not everybody does do needle felting, and it's so easy. But I think the thing about it is sometimes when you're a stranger to it, you know, you get a bit overwhelmed, and then you're trying to weed out what all the different language means. And really, at the end of the day, needle felting is just dry roving in your hand with this tiny little needle that costs nothing and stabbing it. It's a stabby craft, right? Just like punch needle and miniature punch, it's a stabbing craft right into anything that is wool in the background. And that includes finished rug hooking projects. Aileen says, felt roving in a sky gets a wonderful foggy look. Oh, it so does. It so does. And then, you can think about when you think about roving, because roving is so luscious, right? It's just that unrefined sort of cotton candy. You can get it on Etsy, you can dye it yourself. The colors that it comes in are exquisite. And when you take little shreds off of different ones, put them together, layering them, stab into them, and it makes a mix of those colors, then you have got your own original color, right? Without dyeing. You can do so much with color. You can do so much with unnatural color. And the great thing about needle felting is when you start stabbing and attaching the dry needle felt, the roving, onto whatever your piece is underneath, you do have time to pull it up, right? It's not going to kill what's underneath by any means. You do have time to look at it and say, I don't want a fuchsia sky. I want a blue sky. Made a bad decision. You can pull it up and back that train up out of the station, right? You can, and it will work. So it's a great option to have. It's a fun option to have. It's something we should talk about more because I have been seeing more and more rugs that include needle felting in them, hooked rugs. So Nada, I love this piece. I love you. I love this piece. I love everything you do. This is a hit right out of the park. Jody, you sent me some gorgeous stuff too. You sent some gorgeous stuff. Let me pull this up. Jody says, here are my faves. Hey, baby girl. Here, do you want this thing? Did you decide you wanted this piece of nastiness or no? Should I take a bite?
Take a bite.
I think that might be a whoopie pie. All right. Catching up on the comments for a second. So Jody says, here are my faves. She sent me 2 images. Oh, you know what? Let me show them in a different order because she's telling them in a different order. Oops. Here we go. So she says, here are my faves. The first one is your design. So this is a ribbon candy hooking design. I think this is called Ice Cream Cornucopia. I never finished mine, and Jody's is so much better than mine could ever have the chance of being, I have to say. That was a whole swatch set, the Soda Jerk swatch set from last summer. She used all of the colors. I can see that lime Ricky color in there. I can see the black raspberry. I can see the peach swirl. I can see all of those colors in there. She did the cornucopia. If you can see, she did some textured hooking. We did that together on Zoom. We looked at hooking that kind of waffle cone design. It's basically weaving from behind. You're only seeing the best of it, and the back of it looks like a pig's breakfast, but that's just the way it is to get that beautiful texture up front. She did this in a way that I'm glad now that I didn't finish mine because I could have never made it this good. I absolutely love that. She said, I hooked this while we were driving across the country from Virginia to Wyoming. The pink is velvet. That's right. I forgot the background is Diane Collins' velvet from the Velvet Hook. Just the background, right? So Jody added that swirly border because my pattern ended as a lamb's tooth pattern, but instead of lamb's tooth, the tops of cones, right? Scoops around the edge are supposed to mimic lamb's tongues. But she added that hit or miss border with the cherries floating in it, which is a real inspiration. So smart, right, Kaz? So smart. But the background of the main piece behind the cornucopias is all mixed colors of pink velvet. Diane dyed special velvet for more food. That's right, Sandra. Diane dyed special velvet for this project for us. So everybody who got it was a lot of people who got this. It was a hard one to execute, I have to say. It was just very, very busy, but also quite graphic. No real shading, and you don't have to do the cones crazy like Jody did. These are stellar, but it is tricky to do the cones this way. But Diane did all this velvet, and it was a mix of like light pinks, corals, raspberries. It went right across all these middle tones of pink and orange, and it really was beautiful. So she says, the pink is velvet. I had so much fun adding on the border and the little cherries, as I had plenty of wool left over. Yeah, I always try to give more wool than one could possibly use so that it's not disappointing and people don't feel like they screwed up somehow by running out of wool. I always try to give extra. And if you ever have my kits and you run out, you just let me know. Because no matter what, if you are a high hooker or you do a bit of packing, who cares? I can send you more of the same color, and I always do that at my expense. But she had a lot left over, which is very nice. She said, I love, love, love the ice cream, and this will always be one of my faves. Me too, Jody. This is just so, so good. And this is the other one that she said, another absolute beauty. Oh, our first doodle bug of the night there. So this one says, I posted these on Facebook, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. It took so much creative energy for those silly birds. I'm so happy with my designs and colors. The ladies at the quilting group each got one, and they were speechless, partly because none of them had ever seen rug hooking before. It's very uncommon here. So Jody is in Wyoming, and she lives in a super remote part too. One woman thought it might have been cross stitch as it was done on monk's cloth. She associated it with Aida cloth, right? I'm going to demonstrate rug hooking when we meet again. Oh, fantastic, Jody. That's great. None of them really know what they got. I love that. I'm usually traveling from work during cocktail time, so I watch the reruns. But you have been really a lifesaver this past year. Oh, for that I cannot thank you enough for this group. And then she writes, Jody Cousins from Wyoming, as if I don't know who she is. I know exactly who Jody is. That is so sweet. Thank you so much, Jody. You have all been a lifesaver for me too, ever since 2020 when we started this. It has been not an easy time for any of us, right? But at least we've had each other. We've gotten to know each other, and it will only continue. I'm so glad. All right, let's see who is next in our great lineup here. Jody Sue Gordon. Oh boy, so this is the other Mary Jo design. This is another Mary Jo. So this is another Northwest folk design, but this one is done by Sue Gordon. Absolutely beautiful. So when you get kits from Mary Jo, she kits them and she does the colors and all that. She helps so much. Obviously, Sue has a ton of talent, right? This is insane. This is insane. This will always be my favorite hooked rug. My first big rug after a few smaller projects. It was a kit and I had plenty of coaching along the way. I think she is beautiful. It's called Prairie Rose by Mary Jo Taylor at Northwest Folk Design. Thank you for all the inspiration your Facebook brings. Oh, I'm glad. Well, all of us, right? We all contribute to that page, me least of all lately. So this is so beautiful. In Mary Jo, this design is just beautiful, so different. You see those colors again, right? I mean, it's just it's Mary Jo's palette. It's so 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 distinctive. I really love it. Yeah, and the hearts on the vase. It's almost looks like kind of a silver vase. I really love it. So pretty. Kirsten, yours are coming up now. Prince Edward Island Dreams. These are some beauties. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Let me move it up a little bit here. Oh, come on. Don't. Mama has got no reserves. All right, let's see. Wait a minute, Kirsten. I'm coming back. Let me get there. There we go. A little bit better. PEI Dreams, Prince Edward Island Dreams by Kirsten. She says, this is my favorite rug. Probably because it's my own design and I love the design and the colors. I used wool from my stash and lots of Deanna's swatch sets. I wanted a funky type of whipping to go with the flavor of the rug, so I used two different type of fun fur yarns to get that scraggly effect. Those are so much fun, aren't they, to hook with? Those are so much fun. Those fun fur, like the eyelash and all those are so much fun. There's so much you can do with texture with those. Kirsten, this is so good. I said to Kirsten, you have got to get these up on the Ribbon Candy hooking site. She's got her cats up. She's got Wilma up. She's got some beautiful designs up. The dog with the frisbee. Kirsten, you have to get these up too. I hope that doesn't conflict with the last message you sent that I haven't had time to read. But this is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful design. I love all of this directional hooking. It's so true to life, right? Where you see these kinds of lined feels. But it's also such a directional trick, pulling your eye backward and in contrast to the water of the waves in the foreground, and then the sort of Van Gogh swirling sky on top. You've got three different layers of interest. The color palette changes as you go up. It is just, Joan is saying it's amazing. Love the geometry and the movement. Those are the two words, right? You said that better than I could have said that. It is so good. These little hints of like the bushes, the dark green, flitting here and there and in between. It is so good. Yeah, it's a big wow, Aileen, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. That is not in the description. What's not in the description? Did I say something wrong, Kirsten? Did I say something crazy? Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe you'd put that up for sale. Because it's such a good one. It's such a good one. My mom says, so beautiful. Love the patterning on the hills and the colors on the water and the movement in the sky. It is so, so beautiful. I absolutely love it. Kirsten, did you say what size this? Oh, you did. Wait a minute. 15 by 24. So pretty. And I'm looking at it closely too. I can see some of those different fibers in there. You know, you are so good at couching like unusual materials in between other things in your I really it's like that Canadian school of hooking. I really have to you're in Vermont, so you're pretty close, right? It is a different description. Stop it. This is my favorite rug, the Prince Edward Island. This is not Prince Edward Island. You will put it up for sale. So, whose am I reading when I say this is Prince Edward Island? I wrote your name right on there. What is wrong with me, Kirsten? I am so sorry. This is not called Memories of Prince Edward Island. I am so sorry. Kirsten, what is this one called? Now I'm scared to say the other one. Is the other one called Moonlight? Man, I am a disaster, huh? Disaster pants tonight. See, now I have no idea. I'm bad, huh? I have no idea. If you sent me that text for Memories of Prince Edward Island, please let me know. I am a real disaster. I am so sorry. Kaz, I wonder if that's text that you gave me, Kaz. Is that possible? Man, it's Prince Edward Island, but it's not your description. That's so crazy, Kirsten. That is so crazy. Like this is just crazy. I'm so confused. Maybe I wrote it. I didn't write it in my dreams. I'm so super confused. I'm so sorry. So it is Prince Edward Island, and I don't know how I got the rest of it added to that. I must have done a crazy cut and paste. Joan, it's okay if you're a little drunk. I need to be a little more drunk. That's the thing about this show is I don't get a chance to take too many sipsies. Mm. You know what happened the other day? It was so crazy. This is only the second. Well, this doesn't qualify as one of my true bits of craziness. It's not Kaz's either. I'm gonna have to figure out who wrote that description. The rest of the description went to my rug. Chrissy, that's your rug. Chrissy, that's your rug. Okay, so Chrissy's rug is coming up, so it'll all come to fruition. Chrissy, I am so sorry. What is wrong with me? I must have missed or added a carriage return. I am so sorry. Chrissy, that is your description. But wait a minute. Is it wacky that they're both Prince Edward Island? Did you do the. Wait a minute. So it's Prince Edward Island, but Chrissy, yours is not Prince Edward Island. So I must have just put it under the words Prince Edward Island. I am sorry, I'm stopping. Chrissy, at least we know where the text is when we come to yours. I am a disaster. This is what happens when you try to put it together an hour before coffee time and I still haven't sent the chapter out tonight. I am sorry. But we know we were looking at Kirsten's design. I just said some of Chrissy's words. There we go. Well, at least we solved the mystery. So this is Prince Edward Island. The only time this has happened to me recently was this 2 times. I won't tell you the first time now because it's a long story, but it's a really good story for another time. I was at the studio trying to figure out how I was going to photograph the example of a crocheted rug I did, and it's massive, and I didn't think of that, and it doesn't fit on the wall where I have the kind of professional setup for taking photographs of stuff. And for 2 nights, I was waking up in the middle of the night and going, I don't know, I'm going to have to take the rug apart to make it smaller to photograph it. What was I thinking that I would make a rug this size? Why did I spend all this time when I can't photograph it anyway? Do not ask me how this happened. I'm losing it because I went in yesterday anticipating being stuck at home today because of snow, which I was. I went in yesterday. That thing was photographed. Like it was not only photographed, it was on my phone, like I had photographed it, and it was on my computer in the document. Like I must really be losing it because at some point I must have photographed it. Like, I mean, it would have only been a month ago. I can't believe I have absolutely no memory of it. And I was agonizing about how to photograph it. And I was contemplating taking it apart. And the whole time it was already photographed. I have no idea how that happened. Kirsten and Chrissy, it's another one of those. Who can explain it? It must be a song. Lily, good to see you. Yeah, I'm just losing it tonight. Chrissy says no. Chrissy, you're so nice. Oh, good. Well, I know that the text is there, so I won't stumble again. I love the description. But you do have some different stuff in there, Kirsten. Now, come back here. Wait a minute. I know I can't see it that close up, but what's this stuff, Kirsten? Is that yarn right here? I can see. I know you sometimes do. You add like the real nubby yarns in there. Oh, Kaz, you're going to go pick up your grandson. You'll watch the recording later. Well, Kaz, I will love seeing you later. Say hi to your grandson. We'll see you very soon. So, yeah, let us know, Kirsten, if this, I know you do your nubby stuff, like this kind of business here. I'm wondering if you switch to yarn at that point. That's one of your trickaroonies, and you do it so well. And I'm very happy to hear Kirsten say that she is going to put that up on the website because that is a great design. This is Moonlight, right, Kristen? Kristen. You know what? Should I just pull the plug? I'm losing my mind. Kirsten, I'm so sorry. This is Moonlight, right? Because this has got to be yours. I hope I haven't made a double blunder. I'm almost scared to say moonlight shining on the fields, sunset to the left, wool fabric on linen, approximately 11 by 15, unfinished, edge only. Kirsten, that must be you, right? That must be Moonlight. This is so beautiful. There is yarn, probably roving. Okay, so Kirsten does often hook with roving, and that is smart. We were just talking about roving for needle felting, but you know what else you can do with roving? Cotton candy, just rip a piece off and then hook with it. It comes up so luscious, so round. It just glows. It's a nice touch. You can hook with roving. You can hook with actual sheep's curls. All this kind of thing. They are not reserved just for knitters and spinners. It's for us too. Those are supplies for us too. They are beautiful to work with. Oh, thanks, Aileen. I am hard on myself. I feel like I'm falling apart. As long as I don't fall apart before I turn 50, right? I'd like to at least make it that far. Moonlight is absolutely beautiful. It is glowing. It is glowing. The sky, off to the left, that kind of purpley brown coming into the sky, the moon itself, that haze around the moon, that's hard to do. I would not have dared. Yeah, Aileen says impressionist. That's the right word for it. I love the way between the island on the left, kind of the brown one in the middle, right, on the horizon line, your eye moves to the right. Look at all the shadows in front of it and to the side of it. That's so hard to do. Like, that's really, really good. This is the kind of hooking that for me is the most difficult, right? Because you can do the really fine, shadowy shading, 40 colors of pink in one rose petal, and there it is dictated for you. And you can get books that show you how to put 40 colors of pink into one petal. But this is something different. This takes intuition. It takes a lot of guts, and there is no roadmap to doing this kind of work. It's from the gut, right? You think to yourself, this is where the shadow would be. I'm going to go ahead and put a different color here. And it's magic and it's alchemy when you get something that looks like this. So this is amazing. Oh, Annette, you wrote something nice, didn't you? Oh. Oh, I love reading these messages. Thank you so much. And I have gotten a couple of really beautiful cards, and I'm going to save them for Monday for when it's my actual birthday. I got a treasure in the mail too that I haven't opened. I'm going to open on Monday. I appreciate all the nice emails and everything that I'm getting because this is an awful thing to. I'm going to stop. But I mean, I feel like I have lost the entire autumn with the kids. I feel like I've lost Christmas. I was working on Christmas Day. I feel like I've lost my health. I've got like two trips clocked to the doctor this week. I've got this weird pain here, which I hope is not my appendix. Got to get an ultrasound next week. I am falling apart and I can't get this time back. And it's just awful. So I appreciate all the kind sentiments because I really thought at this point, turning 50 and kind of being excited to turn 50, it would be I'd be in a whole different place right now. And it has just been dreadful. But I'm done with the hard part, right? I'm done with the hard part. The next part is the easy part. And also, I think I mentioned Rug Cooking Magazine got in touch and they'd like me to do a book for them for this coming year. So I'll have a more sort of natural and normal and possible human type timeline. So that'll be fun for us too, and we'll all be contributing to that again. So that'll be fun. Thank you for all the kind sentiments. It means a lot to me because I'm just in the worst place in my life. I will tell you, I'm going to stop, but I will tell you, I went to college 4 times for art and I ended up getting a degree. in theater costume construction, and I worked in the theater in London, in the professional theater. And some days I would have a matinee at one theater on one side of town, and I'd have a night show, different show, at an opposite side of town. And some nights I would sleep on the floor of the wardrobe because I had to iron so many garments for the matinee the following morning, and I missed the last train home. Or someone smoked a hole through their costume that I had to get ready for the next morning. Those days were nothing compared to the last few months, I'll tell you. All of those years, I'm stopping, all of those years of being a tour guide and riding around on a bus while there were avalanches and shutdowns and road closures and calling hotels from a cell phone that was a flip phone back then, with 52 people on the bus looking at me, hungry, waiting to figure out how we're going to get to the hotel with a road closure. That was nothing compared to what it's been like lately. This has been the worst. So thank you so much for all of your support and all the positive messages and things that you say. And I feel a lot of love. And that is the only thing that has gotten me through. Because as you can tell, I'm pretty edgy. I'm definitely edgy. That's a nice word for it. Oh, Kirsten, your stuff is so good. So, Kirsten, I think I heard you say you're putting both of these in the shop, right? And we'll be promoting them wildly because starting on Monday, starting on my birthday, it's a whole new world. And we're going to start spending more time together looking at stuff and promoting stuff a lot more, all of us. Denise, this is beautiful. I can't believe that this is your first rug. Come on. Are you kidding me? Denise. Now, I know Denise is down south right now, and then she'll come back to Connecticut later in the year, so I'll get to spend some time with her again. She says, this is my first rug. The pattern was for a chair pad, but I wanted it to be bigger. So I made it bigger, and she wanted to learn how to do braiding too, so she did both at once. Now, come on. This is so pretty. This is a great beginner design, right? This beautiful apple tree, these birds, has a little bit of the Magdalena flavor to it. She's got a nice thick border on there, which she was able to sign it and date it. Absolutely beautiful, primitive. Look at that apple falling down out of the tree too. What a nice touch. And this braid, beautiful braid, right? She wanted to braid. She learned how to do that. Isn't it great the way the braid moves from different shades of green out into, like, it's so finely braided. It's almost like a mosaic out at the sides, isn't it? It's almost like there's peeps of green that are going right out to those border edges, all feathery, and then all these kind of rusts and browns and evergreens and dark browns are moving in. It really is a beautiful piece. I can see why she loved that. Brandolyn says, oh my gosh, I really love that braided border. I really want to try that too. Well, we should absolutely do that. Sue's good to see you. You made it. You missed so much crazy at the beginning of the show. We're ramping down now. It is a comedy of errors tonight. It's more of a Shakespeare play than anything. I'm reading your comments at the same time. I would love to stop and breathe. I really would. It's going to one of these days I will stop and breathe. I'll stop shaking. And hopefully there's nothing really wrong with me after all of this, because I am terrified for my doctor's appointments that are coming up. I usually don't go at all because I'm strong as an ox, you know. Kirsten says the white on the outer edge is brilliant. Absolutely. Sue's fabulous. Nice. Let's come back and look at that outer edge one more time. Let's see. Denise, there we go. Oh, yeah, that little bit, this sort of speckling on the edges. It is such a natural color palette, isn't it? And the black and the brown are kind of at war with each other in a good way. It's creating interest and a bit of conflict. But I love how she didn't go full black or full brown on the border. She did a real speckly job. It's so, so, so pretty. It's so pretty. What a braid that is too, right? So this is, it looks antique. It does. It really does. How is the braiding done? It's a lovely piece. So the braiding is attached, right? It looks like she's got 1, 2, 3. It looks like she's got 4 strands of braids. So what you're doing when you're adding braiding like this is more videos that we should do. There's a few things about braiding, right? I won't make it super long, but there's a few things that are worth thinking about if you're thinking about getting started with braiding. The traditional braiding is when you have a 3-strand, right? And you're braiding it together, and you can do it at one of your stands that clips, or you can just put a binder clip on the table, on the edge of the table, or clamp, right? A table clamp, and you've got your 3 strands, and you just keep going with that long, 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 giant spaghetti braid, right? It just flows. And then you take the braid and you need to get it into some kind of configuration, right? So in this case, she wanted to wrap it like a frame around the piece. So at that point, when you've got a single braid that you are going to manipulate into a shape, whether it's an oval to make a rug, or a rectangle to make a rug, or a circle, or a bunch of rounds, right? Sometimes you see the antique rugs that are a bunch of rounds, and then they've braided like around it, like concentric circles around it. There's so many things you can do with braids. Anything, hearts, shapes, pears, fruits, anything. But what you need to do when you braid a rug with that 3 strand, you need to then attach the strands to each other, the braids to each other. And you do that with a process called lacing. When you're putting the braids together, like when you're attaching 2 braids together, right? That's called butting, and that is a pain in the butt. That's a big process. And lacing is also a big process. It's sewing in between the loops in a way that your stitches are hidden, so you could, if you wanted to, flip the rug over. Lacing can be a real thing for people, and you sometimes hear people say, I get so frustrated with lacing my braided rug. No matter how hard I pull, it doesn't sit right. If I pull too hard, it starts to buckle. There's all of this. You really have to finesse it, and there's a huge learning curve. That's one way that you can do braiding. The example that I ended up showing for the rug that I did in this book, right, that I just finished, I ended up doing, this is going to sound crazy and anti-logical, but what I ended up doing was I was trying to, so braiding is a lot of fun, lacing is possible, butting is possible. These are things that you need to learn and practice, right? Beautiful possibilities, traditional rugs, amazing mellow and dynamic color palettes. Braided rugs are their own language. It's like a whispering language that you really have to tune into like a radio station to hear it. And once you hear it, every braided rug you see is just a beauty, a symphony, perfection. But not everybody's tuned into how beautiful they actually are, and they are. But I'm going to expand on that by saying the reason I chose a not traditional braided rug for the book, I chose a 4-stranded rug that became an 8-stranded rug. And sometimes you see people braiding 10-stranded rugs. This sounds impossible and stupid, doesn't it? It's actually, for me, a lot easier. Because as soon as you go above 3 braids, your braid is braiding into itself. And then you eliminate butting and lacing. So for me, I thought, beginner book, let's try to keep this simple. It sounds overwhelming to even braid with 4, but it's really not. It's the same as braiding with 3, right? You move one over, under, but the last under goes into the last loop of the rug that you're attaching to, or the strip before, right? Whatever you're doing, if you're framing out or if you're doing a new rug, it goes into the loop that's immediately next to it, and so does the next one, and so do all of them. And every single time you pick up the strand on the far right if you're right-handed, on the far left if you're left-handed, every single time you pick it up with your 4 strands, you go over, under, and into the next loop. And it never changes. You don't have to count unless you're getting to your edges, and then you need to make your increases, right? And then you can introduce more strands. And then I'll tell you what, your rug starts moving like a locomotive because you've got a rug this big and you're attaching a braid this big as you go. And suddenly it's an hour later and your rug has multiplied to be 5 times bigger than it was an hour ago. And all you've been doing is sitting here going over, under, over, under. There's a lot to be said for it. The braid on the rug that we just saw, the braid on Denise's rug, that's a traditional 3-stranded rug. It's beautifully done. It's pulled nice and tight. That's why it looks like a mosaic, right? It's small strips. It's not big wide pieces. It's not big coarse wide pieces. It's small pieces. That's how she got so many pieces looking like a little Italian mosaic around the edges, right? So this is all stuff that we should talk to. This is all stuff that we should come to because these are videos that I can do. I am offering an Amish toothbrush class coming up in Connecticut, and I'm going to probably be offering the multi-strand braiding, doing 4-strand, 8-strand, and 10-strand locally or all over New England. Whoever wants it, I'll be doing that soon because it is super easy. It's a nice addition to frame out your stuff, and it's a nice kind of a rug to make all on your own when you really want to turn your brain off and you just want to do something with your hands that goes over, under, over, under. So, yeah, we're going to touch on all this stuff, I promise, coming up now that we can finally breathe and think again. Denise, that was an amazing rug, and I can't wait for you to come back to Connecticut. I know that we'll meet up either at Donna's or somewhere. All right, let's come back to gallery night over here. And da-da-da-da. Oh, it's getting late. Michelle. Oh, Michelle, let's look at this. This is astonishing. I love this. This is designed by Martina Lesser and hooked by Michelle Ross Miller. This is just beautiful. She didn't say what the name of this pattern was. Most of us know Martina's work. It is just exciting, exhilarating, novel, traditional. It is perfect. It's perfect. Beautiful, crisp composition. I love the shape of the crow's body against the shape of the branch that he's standing on versus all of the curves around him, including the lamb's tongues in the corners. Absolutely beautiful, very reminiscent of Magdalena, because remember, Magdalena often um, put a cherry in the mouth of her birds, and that's how you knew that it was a Magdalena. So really, really, really beautiful. Such a gorgeous project. I wish I would have had the time. Me too, Kirsten. I wish I would have had the time to look up the name of this pattern because Michelle, this is just beautiful. Very limited color palette, and it could not be any better. It could not be any more right. I love the way that the fruits, the cherries, are like cherries or berries, are like a wreath around the bird. How smart is that? How smart. A little bit of a silhouette feel with the legs. Perfect. Kind of mimics the filigree feel of all the little branches around. Just beautiful. This is just beautiful, Michelle. Really, really, really pretty. I don't think we're going to get to all this. Let me just look and see how much further we have to go. Oh, wow. We have got a ton further to go. I'm thinking maybe we should. It's getting awfully late. I am thinking I've got to finish those chapters too. I'm only about halfway there. Can you believe that? My mouth has been running too much. You would love to hook that. Suze, I would too. You know what we'll do? This is what we'll do. We'll come back on Monday for my birthday. Let's pick up where we left off. For those of you that didn't know that we were running a gallery show, why don't we conclude the gallery episode on Monday, February 28th? Send me some more pictures. I'll move a lot faster on Monday. We can have a continuation of our party, except I'll be drinking coffee instead of booze. And Joan says, I had no idea you had rug showings. Oh, yeah, Joan, it's Brett. Teddy, you sound like Darth Vader in there. He's trying to whisper, and it's eerie. You can just speak out loud. It'd be less nightmarish. Joan, it's a new thing. I just came up with the idea the other day, and I didn't really have time to communicate it to the YouTube audience. But anybody who's watching, send me your gallery rugs to ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com before Monday. Let's look at the rest of them because I have a ton more. I can see that Ann Kurtz's rugs are in here. Let me put the cherries back on just while I look. That's Michelle Ross Miller's rug. Ann sent me a bunch. Annette sent me some beauties. I have a bunch of Linda Barney's beauties. My friend Lori, I have one of hers in there because she did a Van Gogh chair. And I have three. I was premiering three of the designs I did for the book, all sneaky. I'll show you one of them now because it's not that I'm not supposed to show them to you. I just can't ever sell these designs because they are exclusive to the book that I'm working on that's coming out in August. I'll show you the one that I used for the thumbnail, and then we'll end on that. Then I'll do a bit of a close. But this is the one that I did. These are my three favorite rugs are the ones that I have just done for this book project. And I have mixed feelings, as you can tell, about all this. Okay, Aileen says that pattern that Michelle did was called Crow and Berries by Martina Lesser. Okay, so Martina Lesser, Lesar, Crow and Berries, just what it sounds like. So if you love that pattern, that's where you should go and get it. That is a beautiful pattern. Oh no, Lori, there's going to be booze on my birthday for sure. Just hopefully not at noon. Although at noon, it's lunchtime, right? I'm enabling myself here. Here, let me show you. For this project, I was so excited at the beginning. I had all of the energy in the world, right? And I did some of my best designs ever. And my favorite designs, certainly. And they will be exclusive to the book. So the 14 patterns that I've done, not including things like Amish toothbrush and braided rug, right? Because then it's just a color scheme. It's not actually a pattern. But everything that has a picture to it has an exclusive pattern that is only available through the book. I'll never be offering them at Ribbon Candy Hooking. So this is one of the ones that I did for the book that is one of my favorites that I've done. And like I said, we'll pick up everybody's next week. And there it is. This is for the Prati chapter. So this is a two-sided rug because I've always had a thing about one-sided rugs in the middle of the floor. I don't like approaching something upside down. I feel like I've got enough problems. It always confuses me. It disorients me. So I'm always interested in seeing two-sided rugs, and I wanted to do one that reminded me of one of my favorite movies, Mr. Blandings builds his dream house, right? The whole argument of the wife of Cary Grant's wife, like it's Cary Grant, right? Not Jimmy Stewart, it's Cary Grant. She wants the floral sink and everything, and she's arguing for all these different things. She's a big gardener. I was watching the movie. I've read the book a few times, and I thought, how cool would it be to do a two-sided rug? Mom's flowers, dad's weeds, right? Two different points of view. And in the middle, I hooked everything. It's the Prati chapter, but I didn't do an abstract Prati rug. I did a hooked rug that had, thanks Kaz, that had the opportunity for putting all these different petals on it. So that's what I did. I hooked the centers and I just put different shaped petals around it. And I just love the idea because it could go in either direction. Both of them, it's probably small here, but there's a lot of tweedy stuff and spot colored stuff, and both of them have like glittering rings on. I just really love this piece. Oh, good morning, Gail. Good to see you. Gail's logging on in Australia. But I really love this piece. I really do. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I have not finished it yet, as you can imagine, but it gave me this idea. And I thought, hey, maybe other people will get ideas for two-sided rug twos, because with something like this, it already tells its own story, right? Have you seen that movie with who's that guy that is so handsome? Jude Law. I mean, there's so many of them, right? But that's the one I was thinking. The Holiday, right? And they have this scene where they talk about old movies, and they say something like the old guy that they meet, who's an old Hollywood scriptwriter, says, you know, it's like the cute meet when they meet in the movies, and like they're in the department store and they're shopping. They're a guy and a girl. They're both single and they're shopping for pajamas, and they decide they're arguing over the same pair, and they decide to split it because he wants to get the bottoms and she only wants the top, and then they end up meeting and facilitates a cute meeting, right? I thought those kinds of stories are so good with two-sided rugs, mom's flowers, dad's weeds. I thought there's so many things you could do with that. Is there something that you can do with that idea of having a two-sided rug that already tells its own story because it gives two points of view? It doesn't have to be an argument, right? It's just funny because there's usually two points of view. It's probably a sexist rug that I made there, but who cares? I certainly don't. Did you show that video clip? Did you show that video clip? Oh, that's no, I didn't. You mean the Mr. Blandings builds his dream house? I have it. I've read the book and I've seen the movie. I have the movie and love the movie. There's actually a second book. There's a sequel to it. It's also very, very good. But I hope you like that design. That is the first preview. There's a couple more I'll show on Monday for our February 28th Monday episode. It's my 50th birthday. And I'll show a couple more then. But I really love that. I think that's my favorite of my own. And we'll get to all of the amazing rugs. Kaz, I'll have time to get yours in there. Chrissy, yours is coming up on Monday without a doubt. We've already done the text. We will put it all together the right way. If you have rugs to send me, again, ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Please send them on. We would love to see them and look at them. We'd love to look at your stuff. You know, you don't have to say anything extra about us. Let us just see what you're working on. If you think it's not the best thing in the world, who cares? What is the best thing in the world, really? I mean, we always think other people's work is the best thing in the world. We want to see what you're working on, right? So it doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter how great you think it is. If it's what you're working on, it's taking up your time and your thought, we want to know about it too. We want to share in that too. So go ahead and send it. Cindy says, love the movie. I love that movie too. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to be, thanks, oh, for a wonderful cocktail night. A bit, thank you, Catalina. I think that's you. I got your card. Thank you so much. You made me cry. It was a beautiful, beautiful card. I'm going to look and see if I can read part of it on Monday, but I won't read all of it. I absolutely love what you wrote. Absolutely love it. It's the odd. Sandra says, yes, how odd then. I saw that clip just the past. Oh, did you really? You saw somebody posted a clip from that movie on like Facebook or something? How funny is that? Lori says 50 is no big deal. We all get there. You know, I think so. It's, you know, and I feel fine. It's just I've been having all these health problems lately, probably because of stress. And I just haven't been that happy because I've been out of my groove. And all of that needs to come back together, right? Because yeah, I'm just not feeling like myself these days. But I am going to have a nice weekend. I'm going to get these chapters in tonight. I said I'd get them in on Friday, and I'm a little skunk, so I'm getting them in after business hours, which is kind of cheating, isn't it? But they will be in on Friday, technically. I'm like a child, aren't I? Making excuses for myself. Um, but I will see you. I'm gonna take a little bit of time off over the weekend. I'm gonna take a little day trip tomorrow and have a little adventure, have some fun. And I'm definitely gonna be back on Monday because I want to spend my 50th birthday with you and I want to have fun together. Look at the rest of the rug. So send me anything you can. Have a great weekend in the meantime. Take care of yourselves, Chrissy. You are so sweet. Have a good night, and I will see you Monday, February 28th.